another video on the whole strawberry jam. So I have bought myself some pectin to make proper jam with. So we're going to make it again, but we're going to make the first part of the jam with we're going to make it with the pectin and the sugar. So it should set more solid, and therefore it won't be as runny when we add the whole strawberries to it. What I am going to do is I'm going to steep. I'm doing half the amount that I did last time. So this is 1.5 kilos of strawberries, and I'm going to just slightly macerate them in some sugar. So this is a kilo of sugar, so I'll know how much sugar I put on because I'll be able to weigh it once I've poured this sugar onto these strawberries. I have got some more strawberries which I'm actually going to make the jam from. These are going to be the strawberries that we put into the jam. No, we don't want that bit of green. These are the strawberries we're going to put into the cooked jam that are going to stay whole. I just want to macerate them with a little bit of sugar. What that's going to do is that's going to draw out some of the moisture and just kind of make them cook a little bit quicker. You know, and then I'm going to any kind of liquid that comes out of them and the sugar, that's what's going to go into the first process of the jam. But this is just the first process of just macerating this through overnight, or for 24 hours, or for when I get around it, and then just to kind of draw out some of that moisture. So I'm going to put these in another bowl because it's quite a big bowl for the fridge. I just wanted a big bowl so I can get my hands in there. If it had been a smaller bowl, there would be a risk of me smashing up the fruit. So put it into a smaller bowl. Strawberries are going to stay relatively whole, and then just that little bit of sugar on top of the strawberries there, and then that's going to go in the fridge overnight, and so it will macerate them. So we'll see what they look like tomorrow morning, maybe afternoon. We'll just have to see. Right, and I'll just weigh that bag of sugar, so we'll kind of see how much that weighs. So I reckon I put on about 200 grams of sugar. No, 100 grams. So there was 100 grams of sugar going on that 1.5 kilos worth of strawberries. There we go. That's it for the moment. We'll be back tomorrow. If the camera will stop. No, because I've got sugar on my fingers. The strawberries have been macerating overnight, and I have strained them. So all that liquid has come out of those strawberries. So that's liquid that we're not going to water the jam down with. However, we are going to use that liquid in there to make the jam. We'll just have to evaporate off the water from it because we're going to want a jam of a decent consistency. However, there's going to be strawberry flavour in there and there's sugar in there as well, so it's kind of a little bit of a win-win. It just means the jam is going to be cooked for a little bit longer, which will mean the jam that we're making, the fruit, will break down, but that doesn't matter because we're going to be putting fruit in later. This kind of makes sense to me, and hopefully it'll make sense to everyone else as well. So that can stay there, that can come out of the way. Do I want to actually tell you what I will do? I will no, I think most of the fruit, yeah, I think most of the sugars come off that. That'll be fine. Yeah, well, if any more liquid comes out, we'll keep adding that to the jam as we go. So to make the jam, we have got 500 grams of strawberries. We're taking the tops off them, and then we have got the juice and the 100 grams worth of sugar that we macerated the strawberries in. And then jam is normally equal quantities of fruit and sugar. So I haven't got some proper jam sugar. However, I have got some of this packet pectin. Each pectin packet, tongue twister, is enough for 1 kilo. We're doing 500 grams of fruit, so it's 500 grams of sugar, therefore it's half a packet, so it's 4 grams of this pectin sugar. And then we need to turn the heat up. And then, because I think a bit of acidity is a good thing, so I've also got a couple of, like, these lemons are small, so it's 3 lemons, but I would recommend, I'd say, 2 normal sized lemons, or 3 normal, or 2 normal ones. So these are just I bought a few. These were the lemons that I've used. They're like a smaller size, so I don't fit 3 in my hand. But that's a normal size lemon that you buy. But that's 3 because they were cheap on the market. So I bought cheap lemons. So I'd use normally, if it was normal size lemons, I'd use 2 of those. I'm using 3 of those because they're a little bit smaller. But I think we might add a little bit more lemon anyway as we go, because we'll taste a little bit and we'll see if we need some more acid to it. So in we go with 400 grams of sugar, because we've already got 100 grams worth of sugar or thereabouts in the liquid that came out of the strawberries, and then the lemon juice, and then the pectin. And we're then going to cook that like a normal jam. So I'm not going to boil it rapidly because I don't want the sides of the pan to start burning the fruit or the sugar. So relatively, like a medium heat, bring it up to the boil, and then we'll give it a good boil for however long it takes to form the jam. That might be, we need to boil off that liquid. So I've seen it done for as little as 10 minutes, but we're probably going to be doing it for a lot more than 10 minutes. I probably would have thought for maybe half an hour worth of boiling, and until we get a jam. So I'll stop the video until we get to the boiling stage, and then we'll and then I'll kind of show you what the rolling boil stage is, and then I'll pause again, and then we'll come back when it's at the right kind of consistency, because you don't kind of need to see that. The other video that I made was far too long, and this one will be far too long if I don't stop talking. Coming up to the boil, like that. So we'll give it a good boil until it looks like it's thickened up like a jam, and then we'll see how it goes. Slightly concerned that the pectin hasn't mixed in too well, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Hopefully the boiling process will completely mix the pectin into the rest of the jam. But a good boil to drive off that excess liquid from the lemons and from the macerated strawberries, and then hopefully we'll kind of get quite a thick jam, which will sort out the problem of the other jam that I made that was a little bit too thin after we'd added those fruits. Because once we add these fruits, some liquid from those fruits is going to come out of it into the jam, and it's going to thin it down, which is not what I want. I kind of want a semi-thick jam with some whole strawberries in them. I'm trying to do two things at once. I really should pay attention to this, shouldn't I? So turn it down slightly. I don't want it to boil too much, or to boil too much that it's going to boil out of control. I can't remember what it's supposed to look like, if it's supposed to have big bubbles or small bubbles when it's ready. But I will know when it's there, and we'll be back when that happens. Looks like we're ready. So it's looking very jammy and quite thick already, but I've just had a plate in the freezer, and I've put a blob of the jam onto the frozen plate, and you can see it's got that kind of consistency at room temperature. So we should be good. So I thought I better weigh this as well, just for the sake of scientific experiments and doing things half properly. So I can just weigh the pan, don't need the spoon. Put that on top of the scales, and then I'll say what it is. So that weighs 820 grams. So if there's any kind of calculations that I know that I need to do, that's 820 grams. So it's cut down quite a bit. So there's like 500 grams worth of sugar and 500 grams worth of strawberries, and then obviously the lemon juice and the excess water as well. So we've lost quite a lot of volume and water. We're not going to destroy the sugar, but we are going to evaporate off the liquid. So that makes sense. So no, not turn off. Let's stay on for a bit. So that on there, and then strawberries in just long enough to cook them, and not moving them around a lot, that we're going to break them down, because I want them whole. So there looks like there's a lot of strawberries for that kind of volume of jam. They are going to cook down slightly. Just be a case of really bringing them up to the boil. And then that will cook them enough that we can then put it in jars. So things are going according to plan, I hope. Yeah, that jam looks nice and thick. This should work. This should work. Well, it should give the result that I want. Anyway, so we bring this up to the boil, gently, 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 because all we're really wanting to do is cook the strawberries. We're not wanting to break them down. If we stir them too much, it's going to want to, or boil it too much, it's going to boil the strawberries to bits, which is not what I want. I want a whole strawberry jam, as in like strawberries that are still relatively whole, rather than like a whole strawberries, as in like it's 100% strawberries. There we go, that's how I'm going to explain it, but there we go. I think the strawberries are cooked enough. So as you can see, there's a bit, they've gone soft. I don't want to cook them any more than that. I want them to keep the shape for the aesthetics of how this jam stroke compote is going to look like. So heat off. The jam certainly looks a lot thicker this time as well. So we'll put it into jars, and also the jam's still hot. It's going to take quite a while for it to cool down. So we're going to carry on cooking in the jars. So I think this is going to be fine. So how do I do this so I don't knock it? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll move this slightly out of the way over here, and then we'll do. Nope. We'll do it like that, so I'm not knocking the camera when I'm dishing things out. I sterilise the jars. I've just put them in the oven on about 100 degrees for about half an hour or so, just to, I can lid in that, just to sterilise and do a clean. It just kills off any kind of bacteria that was in them. And which one do I want to use? Yeah, I want to use this one, because I promised an extra jar if it works. So just careful, and I want to make sure that I put lots of fruit in and a little bit of juice. So the first ones are always going to slightly smash down at the bottom, but pack the fruit in first with a little bit of the juicy jam. And then a clean lid on, and then we'll see how we go. But I'll open a jar tomorrow morning. I'm doing some smaller jars as well, so we'll open a smaller jar tomorrow morning once all these have cooled and set, and then we can have a look at them. Because I'm going to give a jar to my mum, so I can give her the what we call it jar. I can give her a smaller jar. She won't eat a lot of jam, so she can just have a smaller jar. But my sister will want a bigger jar. So maybe another couple of strawberries. And then top up with juice. Give that jiggle. Probably fit just one more strawberry in that. Like that. Excuse fingers. Just jam those underneath the lid. You can go on there. And I'm just going in some juice on the top, just so it seals the jam. Because if anything's going to go off, it's going to be the fruit. The jam, and the actual jam liquid is just sugar and pure and pectin and the juice now, so that's not going to go off. But I just think the strawberries just need to be submerged underneath all that juice. Give it another shake round. I don't want it to pop to the top. That might not something we might not be able to avoid that. So lid on, and then we'll look at them in the morning. I might turn them upside down. Oh, we'll see. But there we go. Going to do the rest of the jars, not all the jars. I've got more jars than I need, but we'll see how it turns out tomorrow morning. Right, I have done 4 jars. So I've done 3 small jars. I've just turned them upside down because the float was floating to the top of the jar. So if we turn them upside down, it'll properly seal the lid, and also it will hopefully, when it thickens up slightly, we'll be able to turn it the other way, and the jam should be completely suspended. There is a proper way of making the jam be suspended in the fruit to be suspended in the jam, but I don't think I can do it with this. You kind of have to let it sit for a while before you put it into the jars. I think all that would do would just cook the strawberries more. I have got quite a bit of juice left, so I don't. It's going to be a while before I do this recipe. If it works, it's going to be a while before I do this recipe again. So I don't think, because of the amount of sugar in it, I don't think I could just put another kilo of fruit in. I don't think I could just say, instead of adding 1.5 kilos of fruit, I don't think we could do 2.5 kilos of fruit. And I don't think, because I think it would, the amount of sugar in the jam is kind of going to affect how thick it is and how sweet it is. So I'd normally kind of be tempted just to kind of go, oh well, the recipe actually is for 2.5 kilos of fruit. I think it wouldn't work if I put more fruit in for that amount of original jam that I made. If that kind of makes sense, I think it'd become too watery and there wouldn't be enough sugar in it. So that might just be like the spoils of jam, which is just turned into jelly. So I don't know. Probably could reboil that and then add more fruit to it, add some more sugar, reboil it down. Probably do that, but that might just be waste for this recipe. I don't think. Yeah, I'll have to have a. I'll have to think about it. But ideally, what I wanted the right amount of liquid to strawberries for the amount of jars, so there wouldn't be that amount of liquid in there with those few strawberries left. It would be all kind of work out nice, and all the jars would be full of strawberries like that. But I don't know how to work that out. That is I don't know enough about it all to be able to do that. But I'd like to be able to see how that sets up tomorrow morning anyway. Well, that would be kind of quite interesting. But there we go. We'll see what it's like in the morning. It's not a perfect recipe. We've got a little bit of waste, which I don't like, but I don't know how to rectify it. That's what I'm basically saying. Let's have a look. It's been overnight. It's just not. It's a little bit too thin. It's a little bit too thin. Let's have a taste. Get some strawberries out. We'll taste one of these. It's nice, it's just a little bit too thin. Just a little bit too thin. Stuck a spoon in that. It's not gone really. It's no more jellified than the other ones I made. Where's that? This one. Yeah, so this is the other one that I made, and it's for the pectin. There's no difference. In fact, I would have thought the first one that I made was better. Have to have a rethink. It's nice. It tastes like a fresher jam. I just need to. I'll have another go. We can get it right. Probably need to make a really, really, really thick jam, and then we'll kind of see how it turns out. That's just too thin, and I think it's because of the liquid that comes out of the strawberries. So, I'll have a think. I'll have another go. It's just not quite how I want it, but it's getting there. No, it's not getting there. The first batch was there. First batch was thicker. Well, it's probably about the same. So the pectin didn't make that much difference. Yeah, so I think I'll need to make a really thick jam. We'll maybe up the pectin. When the strawberries are cheap again, and when I haven't got so much jam kicking about, I'll have another go. When the strawberries are cheap. Might be a while. Might be next year. I've got other things to do before then. And it won't be strawberry season, and they won't be particularly very good. But anyway, unless it's, yeah. We'll have to wait. Otherwise we'll have a play around. We'll have a think about things.